Siomra Beag.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to On Siomra Beag. Welcome back to the Digital Tiny Room. I'm the Michael of Michaelandbenjaminspodcast, and I am joined digitally in this dark universe, Siomra Beag, by the only known survivor of the light universe. It's Benjamin, last of the Brunnen Sea Colony.
Yes, I've killed, philosophers, good men, bad men, the beautiful,
the ugly.
the lads round by the centre who wouldn't move their car so I could get out.
Yeah, you've killed them. You've killed everyone, Ben. You're a bit of a prick, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, now that you break it down, bit of a prick, Michael. All round, I suppose, all round. Michael, there is a Brunnen, war song. Would you like to hear it?
Yes, I would. I'd love to hear it.
It goes a little something like this.
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music.
Oh, you've put in the theme music, you sneaky bastard. Now, Benjamin, I'm just going to have to ask you, I'm going to take a diversion from the usual antics and banter of the podcast and ask you, what the hell are you looking at? You seem very diverted by
window.
something over. Yeah, there seems to be something happening off to your left. What is it? What is it and what's going on?
There seems to be an Amazon delivery argument happening at the front door of somebody's home.
Oh, very interesting.
Very interesting. It's a little slice of suburban life, Michael. A little slice of suburban life.
Isn't it the mundanity that makes things delicious?
Yes, it'll be on my brand new podcast next week, Michael, where I take a look and deconstruct the kind of absurdist and existential qualities of living in suburbs. It's called Cold in the Sack.
That's quite good. I was worried, Ben. I was worried that you weren't going to have a good name for it.
No, it's Cold in the Sack. That's what it's going to be
pretty
called,
good.
Michael. And
That's pretty good.
It's all about the existential dread that creeps in as we just traverse this lifetime. Not unlike the existential dread that might, drip in as you traverse the universe in the face of a bug Armageddon. But anyway, we'll get into that later.
Very good. We'll get to that later, Benjamin. Benjamin, speaking of existential dread, how do you feel about our new Disney overlords providing all of the entertainment in this corporate-sponsored entertainment package?
Every last fucking bit.
All the entertainment, Ben. It will come from one source.
Michael, we seem to be going through, it's either a feast or a famine when it comes to pop culture news these days, where we kind of have to scrape the little pop culture crumbs off the table, or we're being force-fed Disney goodness.
Get it in you. Get that Disney goodness in you, Ben.
So we got a whole bunch of Disney stuff dumped on us, Michael, this week. We got a whole bunch of trailers for the Disney Plus Marvel shows.
Yes.
Which are, Michael, without a doubt, the greatest flex on networks like ABC and things like that. Because, Michael, the visual quality that we are being delivered, the budget, Michael,
Ben,
that is being provided for these shows must be astronomical.
Benjamin, they look better than many films.
It's pretty embarrassing for things like ABC. Hey, do you remember when we had to use the powers sparingly because we didn't have the budget? So we'd come up with a creative way to limit their power usage in an episode. Don't have to do that anymore.
No, look at me flying through the canyon. It's like I'm Independence Day, but I'm just a man.
That canyon scene with Falcon in Falcon and the Winter Soldier is ridiculous, Michael. Ridiculous. Yes. Such budget.
Now, Benjamin, didn't they just do a Independence Day canyon scene in Captain Marvel?
Yeah, but we're going to have another one, Michael. Now it's Independence Day Captain Marvel scene with extra black guy. Yeah.
Not the same amount, Ben.
Sorry. Samuel L. Jackson was in the last one. Yeah.
No, Samuel L. Jackson was in the last one, Ben. And Will Smith was in Independence Day. So, almost exactly the same amount. That was an ill-conceived comment, Benjamin, I have to say.
Oh, well, never mind. So, moving on from there, Michael, it would seem we're copying a few of the classic beats of some Marvel movies to keep that, fan credit alive, Michael. There's a scene where the Winter Soldier and Falcon have a little banter on the carrier, the helicarrier or whatever they're on to get transport. And he's like, do we have a plan? No. Do we have a plan? No. Oh, I hate you. And then he just jumps out of the plane all smug. Which to me, Michael...
Yeah, go on.
It whacked of the scene in Captain America where he says, did he have a parachute? No.
Yeah. They're not best mates, Ben, you see. They don't like each other. They don't get along. The only thing that's linking them together is the shield and beating up baddies.
Yeah, it's Lethal Weapon with superpowers, Michael. We're gonna have a loose cannon cop on the edge, but this time it's played by Anthony Mackie, and we're gonna have a Donald Glover Senior type in the form of Winter Soldier. It's gonna be interesting, Michael. God damn it, Riggs! You can't just fly into the canyon. And you will have stuff like that. It'll be good. It'll be interesting. It'll be different. I am less excited about Falcon and Winter Soldier than I am about Loki.
Yes, Loki looks quite good, doesn't it, Ben? Ben, we've had this conversation before. Who the hell is Donald Glover Sr.?
That is actually his name, but he's not related to Donald Glover, the musician, also known as Childish Gambino. But he is Donald Glover Sr. That's his name.
Is it?
I don't know why, but sometimes he's credited as Donald Glover Sr.
Danny Glover. Danny Glover, you're saying that Daniel Glover.
I said, damn it! I've mixed up people again.
You big dumbass. His name's Danny Glover, Ben.
Hang on.
What are you at? Do a retraction there.
Hang on. No, wait. I'm not doing a retraction. Hang on. Dementia does not count as retraction territory. Hang on.
Benjamin, I mean, I would hesitate to say that you're the world's youngest dementia sufferer because, I don't know enough about the condition.
I don't know if that's... be. No, I see what I've done here, Michael.
Yeah, you've just got it wrong, you see.
No, I've done it very wrong there, Michael. It is, of course, Danny Glover, but Donald Glover is, in fact, Donald Glover Jr., and his father is Donald Glover Sr., and they are related.
Yes, of course they are, Ben, but but Donald Glover Sr. is not the actor Danny Glover. You see. Benjamin, what really adds to the humour of this for me is this is not the first time we've had this conversation. It's not the first time we've had this conversation either in person or on this podcast. Yeah, it looks good though. Loki looks good though, doesn't it, Ben? Your favourite is in it, Owen or Luke Wilson. Just say both, Ben, and then you can't be wrong.
Yeah, there's a Wilson in it.
Yeah, Owen or Luke Wilson is in it.
It's almost definitely Owen Wilson, but we'll get to that in a second. It's got some serious Legion vibes to it, Michael. I think I said that to you when we watched it originally.
Yeah, there's a bit of Legion.
Very Legion feel to it. Looks like Loki's going to be a bit of a secret agent man.
Well, Benjamin, I thought it was pretty obvious that when he's on the plane and he jumps out of the plane, he's DB Cooper.
Say again. Yeah, he's DB Cooper. Yeah,
he's DB Cooper. Loki is DB Cooper. I thought that was good. That was good and clever and fun.
Yes, it's very enjoyable, Michael. I feel like he's going to slot into a lot of kind of urban mythology. I think that's going to be attacked in the show, perhaps. Yeah. I don't know how the timey-wimey stuff works, Michael. I couldn't honestly say. I don't know. I know it's a copy of Loki, and our suspicions, Michael, having watched the Endgame, having watched the Infinity War movie, was correct. It's when he jumps through the timeline and goes back in time.
Yeah, so this is the Loki who comes from the original timeline, but then he left the timeline before he became good again. So this is back when he was evil. So he hasn't had his kind of redemption arc.
He's a bit of a prick.
So is he going to have to go through it all over again?
Well, I would assume so, Michael. There's lots of little Easter eggs. He's still obviously a prick because there's that great scene where he says, "What did you expect?" And they all hold weapons to his neck, and you're like, "Oh, Loki, you rogue!
Hoist by your own petard again, Loki."
But there are lots of little nods to comic book moments as well, Michael. He's in the Loki for President garb in that particular scene from a couple of years ago, where Loki was the biggest thing since sliced bread in Marvel Comics.
He has some natty dressing, doesn't he, Ben? He's some very fashionable.
He does. He's got his horns back, Michael.
Yeah.
Which I feel is an interesting choice. He's got the horn. And yeah, it's going to be... I'm looking forward to it, Michael. I enjoy Tom Hiddleston. He's got a bit of banter about him. Do you think they're going to get Chris Hemsworth in? Do you think we're going to see a Thor-Loki showdown?
I wouldn't be surprised. It wasn't announced, though, Ben, which was an interesting thing. Because they did announce, Ben. Actually, we'll get back to that in a minute, but there was a third trailer for the Winter Lady and her husband. What's that called? WandaVision.
Yeah. It's Winter Lady and Falcon Lad. It sounds like Falcon and Winter Soldier, but it isn't. WandaVision got its second trailer, Michael, and again, suspicions were correct across the board. They seem to be trapped in some kind of TV dimension, and there are lots of people trapped in there with them. It would seem, and they're all stuck in a little loopy loop.
Yeah, I don't know if it's them though, Ben, because I have a feeling that Vision is that Wanda creates Vision.
Oh, you don't think Vision's really there?
I don't think he's really there, Ben. I think she creates him.
Oh no, it was all a dream.
I think someone... Speaking of Legion, Ben, do you think the lads at Marvel saw Legion a couple of years ago and said, we should have done that first?
I think that is almost 100% the thought process behind at least 60% of the Marvel TV shows we're going to see on Disney+.
For 100%, 100% for sure.
They definitely went, oh, that's actually quite good.
We should have done that. You're fired, Loeb.
Yeah, look, thank God for that. Amen. Amen. Down with Loeb. What an all-time Loeb. That's what they've said at the Marvel offices whenever anything flops. Oh, we've hit an all-time Loeb. And it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
I think I nailed that one.
Nearly makes up for the whole Donald Jr. thing from earlier.
I think you'll find it's Donald Sr., but anyway.
Donald Sr.
Oh, jeez, that is not the first time we had that conversation.
It's the second time then on air, and the fourth time we've actually had that conversation.
Oh, for feck's sake.
That's brilliant. Benjamin, look, anyway, listen, it looks good, I think. She's flying about the place. She's doing all sorts of eras of sitcoms. She's in the 40s.
Yeah, there's an I Love Lucy scene.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Ben. That is the one I am most looking forward to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Wouldn't have expected
I can't wait for that one.
Michael.
I can't wait for that one. Because Loki, Ben, as you know, I don't like timey-wimey stuff because it tends to break its own rules. And I've no time for it, Ben. I've no time for it. I don't think... actually, Ben, I love a time travel story, but I don't think you can fit a time travel story nicely into a coherent universe.
No.
Because
I think this is going to take... Yeah, this is very much going to take place outside main continuity. I think they're setting them up with some kind of... It reeks, Michael, of like a time agency that like ties up loose ends or takes care of chronal anomalies.
It's very much that. It's from the comics. It's the Time Variance Authority.
Is that what it is, Michael? Thank you for clearing that up. I had no idea.
Yes, it's very much from the comics bit.
So that's going to be... The thing I dislike about it, Michael, is it implies there's a whole more powerful universe just outside the Marvel universe. It always kind of fucks me off a bit because it means that the Infinity Stones weren't actually that big a deal because there's an agency going, oh, Thanos.
Oh, they're messing with the Infinity Stones again in Universe 616, but over here in Universe 617, Loki's sticking a man with a stick.
Yeah, and I don't know, it just kind of defangs a lot of your previous plots. I
hope Thanos shows I hope Jean-Claude Van Damme shows up and does a splits and says, I'm the time cop, does splits in the news.
He probably will. He probably will.
Benjamin, of course, they released loads of other show information. I'm going to run through it very quickly, and because you look a bit drained, Ben, I have to say. You don't look very emotionally invested today. You seem
I'm
a bit
not
sad.
Emotionally invested in anything today, Michael. I've had quite a morning.
But
anyway,
I'm going to tell you the things, Ben, and then you tell me how unexcited you are about each of them. Ben, how unexcited are you about the TV show Armor Wars with your favourite actor, Don Cheadle?
I think we can probably throw that one away, Michael. Call it a day.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be great because Don Cheadle is one of my favourite actors, and I don't want to get in his bad side because he has Hollywood contacts.
He does. I'd say he could probably put us away for a very long time in an unpleasant place, Michael. But anyway, given that, Iron Man universe without Iron Man, do we care?
Yeah, well, the tagline, Ben, was what happens when Iron Man's technology falls into the wrong hands? And I think what you'll find happens is Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Spider-Man 1, Avengers 2. Yeah, Spider-Man 2. We've already seen that. Benjamin,
many times.
What happens if there's a teenage girl who makes Iron Man? What would she be called?
She'll probably be largely hated by fans and said that it's kind of virtue signaling and white knighting and just,
it's pretty interesting.
She probably won't be very liked, Michael, and it would probably be a very strange decision to give her own TV show, but she'll look. Well,
Ben, we'll see, won't we? Because we're going to see Ironheart coming up in 2022. With Armor
2022.
Wars.
Jesus.
I think it's 2022. Benjamin, did you also see America Chavez has been cast in Doctor Strange 2?
Oh, who's she going to be? Who's it going to be?
She's I don't know the actress's name, but she's not a big name. They're casting young Ben. They're recasting Cassie Lang as Scott Lang's daughter. They're really building up a little Young Avengers team here, Ben. I think that might be where we're sneaky sliding into.
Oh, he's gathering the pieces, putting them together. Because Loki, as you know, Michael, as an avid Marvel comic book reader, Loki was once part of the Young Avengers when he got trapped in a child's body.
He got trapped in his own child's body, himself.
His own child body.
Not just a random child. Yeah, not just a random child.
Yeah, his own child's body. He got trapped in child form, perhaps would be a better way to say it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Not his own child,
so
it wasn't his son. He wasn't his own son, like in that horrible Captain Marvel storyline.
Oh, yeah. Wait, which one?
The one where someone brainwashed Captain Marvel and then impregnated her with himself.
Oh.
Yeah, it's one of the worst ones. It's one of the worst ones, Ben.
That sounds terrible,
don't
Michael.
Look at it.
Let's not do that.
Tatiana Maslany has been confirmed, Ben, as She-Hulk.
Who's that now?
She's from Orphan Black. Remember, Ben? We've had.
This is the girl who said that she definitely wasn't, but now she.
Yeah,
definitely
she was.
is.
She was. She was just afraid of the contract people getting her, I assume.
It was a little bit of a ruse. Nice. Good for her. Mark Ruffalo probably breathing a sigh of relief, loosening his necktie there, going, oh, thank God.
Well, some of the exciting stuff about that, Ben, is Mark Ruffalo's going to be in it.
Oh, get out of town.
I won't, Ben. I won't get
good.
out of it. But you know who else is going to be in it, Ben? And this was the thing that tickled my wickle the most of the whole announcement. This was the one that made me go, yeah, it tickled my wickle. This is the thing that made me go, delicious. This is what I've always wanted. Guess who else has been cast, Ben? Or not recast. Guess who else is coming back?
Who be coming back, Michael?
Guess who's coming back, Ben? Only Tim Roth as the Abomination.
Fuck off.
I won't, Ben.
That's hilarious.
It's great. It's about time.
Hilarious.
Very exciting.
He was so interesting as Tim Roth and then so boring as the Abomination.
Well, the Abomination was just a big
movie.
spooky wookie man coming to get you. But when he was Tim Roth and he was like, I'll stand in front of you, Hulk, and I'll beat you up, and then Hulk kicked him and broke all his bones, that was great.
I just smashes him about the place. He's like, I got you. I enjoyed half-mutated Tim Roth in the original Hulk film, where he's kind of a little kind of skippy, jumpy, hoppy, backflip kicky.
He was a little proto-Captain America. Remember, that film was made before Captain America was seen on screen properly. And
that's
they
true.
have a lot
of
similarities. He's leaping around the place real fast. He's jumping over people. He's giving them a kick.
Yeah, there was lots of little slick, strategic combat moves in there. I liked it.
Yeah.
So interesting that he's coming back, Michael.
Yeah, he's coming back. It's great.
And is he to be the Abomination? Is that the reason he's coming back?
I don't know, Ben. I've thrown my arms up in the air and I'm giving the international symbol of I don't have a clue. But he's going to be back. Isn't that exciting?
Fair enough. There's a few little callbacks, Michael, throughout these different series. Winter Soldier and the Falcon seems to have bloody Darcy from
Darcy,
Thor 1 and 2.
Kat Dennings. Kat Dennings is going to be in it.
She's back.
Yeah, it's bizarre. And then we have the adult version of Monica Rambeau herself, isn't it? In Miss Marvel. No, she's going to be in Scarlet Witch. She's going to be in WandaVision. And then she's going to be in Captain Marvel 2, which has just been announced.
Oh, Michael, what a week.
They're tying it all up together, Ben. And that's only the Marvel side, Ben. We haven't even touched on the Star Wars side.
Michael, there's two more Marvel things before we move on. You'll excuse yourself and get back in your box there.
Okay, I'll
Bloody
get back
the first family of Marvel is coming back, Michael. Fantastic Four has their third movie.
Fourth, Ben.
Movie. Fourth. Is their Oh, yeah, it is their fourth. But their third
Fifth,
reboot,
technically.
No, second reboot. Third outing. Anyway, John Watts is set to direct
third reboot, technically, Ben.
I mean,
if you include the Roger Corman one from the 90s.
because there was that original terrible movie that never saw the light of day.
Yeah, technically, Ben.
What a week!
I'm technically correct, Ben, and that's the best kind of correct.
It's your only kind of correct, as far as I'm aware, Michael.
Who's going to direct it, Ben, and who's going to be in it?
John Watts is going to be directing it, Michael, and that will be the same director that did Spider-Man 1 and 2 in the MCU, which is quite exciting, really, because he's awfully good at what he does. So we might actually get a rendition of the Fantastic Four that people actually, like.
Yeah, you say that, Ben, but, a lot of the recent Marvel movies have been based on the comics that people like and, recent comics that people have enjoyed. And the Avengers is heavily based on the Ultimates, for example. And, Spider-Man is heavily based on Ultimate Spider-Man. And a lot of the recent successful Marvel stuff has come from recent successful comics. And let's be honest, Ben, the Fantastic Four haven't been terribly relevant in comics in a long time. What's your favourite Fantastic Four story arc, Ben?
The one where Doctor Doom does a bad thing and is the most enjoyable thing about it.
Yeah, you see, you're doing a bit of satire there, but that you've helped my point a bit. Really, it's Silver Surfer and Galactus, isn't it? That's it. It's origin.
Well, those
story,
are the big intros.
Yeah. Origin story, Silver Surfer, Galactus. Are they going to do that? Have we not seen that enough?
I would like to see a very modernized concept of the nuclear family. So I'd like to probably not in a ham-fisted way, Michael, in the same way that we did Fantastic Four, where we made Michael what's his name? Killmonger?
Michael
B. Jordan. Where we made Michael B. Jordan be the sister of Sue Storm, be like, oh, look,
Brother.
Sue Storm's adopted, huh?
Yeah.
Huh? Look at that.
Yeah, very modern.
Look at
very
that modern family.
Modern.
Of course, they didn't actually, put the punch in there all the way and just make Sue Storm black.
They could have done that. Yeah, they could have done that. Would have been fine.
They could have done that. Like, if you're doing it with one, you can do it with the other. It's not an issue. You could have just had that, but we didn't do that anyway. We went for, adopted, because family could be anything.
Family can be anything, Ben, in this day and age.
Are there any casting rumors, Michael? Have any of those surfaced?
No, people are still sticking with, let's hope it's Emily Blunt and John Krasinski. And
is that really what we want? Is that what we want?
I think it is what we want, Ben. It's what people want. And since Marvel made it big, they've pretty much gone with fan favourites for casting choices.
True.
Everyone was saying Benedict Cumberbatch for Doctor Strange, and it was pretty much a foregone conclusion.
Interesting. So maybe we will get that pair then.
Everyone was scrambling for Kit Harington as the Black Knight. They were saying, get me my Kit Harington in the Black Knight. That's what I want to see. And then lo and behold, that's what we're getting next year.
What movie is that in, Michael?
The Eternals, Ben. It was supposed to be out 2 weeks ago, but it wasn't.
Oh, okay. I give up on Marvel. Also, the last little nugget of news that we got, Michael. Alfred Molina will be turning for Spider-Man 3.
Yes, so that makes the Spider-Man 3 cast, Ben. Everyone who's ever been in a Spider-Man film is in this.
Again.
Yeah. It strikes me, Ben, as Sony biting off more than they can chew again.
No, they'd never do that with the third installment of a Spider-Man franchise, would they?
But they've always done it, Ben. Every time. They go, let's get more people in it. Ben, I hear you're in it.
I am. I have a little cameo.
Reprising your role as Ben from Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. Ben, the maitre d's assistant in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, you're back.
That's what I'm going to be in. It's going to be great.
I'm looking
forward to being back on set.
Emily Deschanel is back in it as well, playing the woman at the reception desk who he orders the pizzas for. She's coming back.
I mean, it's
in the
it's
multiverse.
a classic, Michael. I'm looking forward to rubbing elbows with Emily again. I'm looking forward to high-fiving Tobes again. Andy and me are going to have a few games of Baccarat again. Old Holzer and I are going to play a few games of lacrosse and hit the gym. The usual on-set antics.
Is that what you call Tom Holland, Old Holzer?
That's what all Tom Holland's very close friends call him.
Ah, very good.
Yeah.
I would, Ben,
if you don't know.
I would like you to. I would like to see you fight Tom Holland. That's what I'd like.
Tom Holland would kick my ass.
I don't know, Ben. He's very small. I'd pay money to see you and Tom Holland have a fight.
He's also jacked and incredibly in shape.
Yeah, but he's very small, Ben.
Michael, I am. If ever there was a man who was his polar opposite in terms of fitness level, general agility, and just all-round willingness to actually do physical exercise. It is your dyspraxic co-host, Benjamin Colby.
Well, Benjamin,
it's
you
not
don't
going to
have
happen.
You don't have to do a flip over him. You just have to beat him up. Just
But
beat
what if he
up
does a
the
flip
actor
over
Tom Holland.
me?
Well, you grab him out of the air, and you'd presumably be fighting for the love of Zendaya at this stage. And you'd be like, "You'll never have Zendaya Holland. I don't care how many flips you can do."
Yeah, flippy son of a gun. Michael, Marvel
What?
was not the only announcements this week at the little Disney event. We got a bloody plethora of Star Wars.
Oh, no great Star Wars fan am I, Ben.
No great Star Wars fan of you, but you are a Mandalorian fan.
Oh, I'm enjoying The Mandalorian, Ben. It's very good.
Yes, and it would appear, Michael, that Disney Plus has taken note and said, well, a Mandaloriverse is obviously what we're going to need to do here, boys. So what we've had this season are a few cameos from all-time
Too many, I'd
favorites
say.
in the Star Wars universe. Some would say too many, Michael. I'd probably agree with you. Maybe there's a little bit of stocking stuffing going on here, and it's not 100% necessary. But we've had Ahsoka Tano, we've had Boba Fett. What else have we had? Bo-Katan, yeah. And most of these, Michael, barring one particular actress who can't keep her mouth shut about anti-mask conspiracies and the like, have kind of been given their own green light in this universe to maybe go off and have a little series. So Ahsoka is getting her own series on Disney Plus. We're going to see Rosario Dawson in the role. I'm looking forward to that, Michael. I think that'll be interesting. We got the introduction for the Bad Batch. The Bad Batch are a group of clones from the Clone Wars sagas, the animated series. That's going to be a little animated one, Michael, on the Disney Plus channel.
Oh.
Kind of continuing the universe of the Clone Wars. And basically what it is, Michael, is Dave Filoni kind of cherry-picking everybody's favourite versions of Legends. Now, Legends was the pre-Disney Star Wars canon.
Yeah.
Right?
Except for the movies.
Except for the movies. And what he's done is he's like, well, you like this character? Let's sidle them back into the new continuity. Let's put that
He's
back
back.
in there. Let's get him going.
It's Admiral
and
Thrawn.
Disney are kind of sitting there going, you cook. And Dave Filoni's kind of sitting there going, I think you're the cook because I'm fucking you and you got to watch.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, is that what
pretty-
cook means? I'm going to stop saying that. I didn't know that, Ben.
And that's pretty much what's going on here. Oh, sorry. No, he's fucking their franchise and they have to watch. Never mind.
Now, Ben, I think you've completely misread Disney there, because Disney are much more likely to be saying, "Dear David, thank you for all of this money. Please continue what you're doing. Yours kindly, the Walt Disney Corporation."
The mouse.
Yeah. Please send more Star Wars merch.
I think, Michael, I am being very unfair to Disney there, because Disney are very shrewd, and they've probably very much noticed what the fan rekindling that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, who gets no credit, Michael, but did actually write the majority of episodes in season 1 of The Mandalorian,
And season 2. And season 2.
2.
And directed the majority as well. It's Jon Favreau's show. You, Dave Filoni... Is it not Dave Filoni, by the way?
I don't know. I couldn't tell
You bloody animated fanboys, get out of here. It's Jon Favreau's show. He is the brain master behind it. None of this bloody Dave Filoni is the savior of... I don't care about the Dave Filoni episodes. Because I'm like, I don't care about Ahsoka Tano. I've no time for her. I've no interest in her. I don't care about Bo-Katan. Why has she not got a helmet on? This is ridiculous. I don't want another episode of The Mandalorian about someone's bloody animated favourite character coming back. Just keep doing The Mandalorian, please. You know what I mean? I don't want it to divert into a continuation of 2 animated shows I didn't watch.
You are going to be bitterly disappointed in the future, Michael.
I don't think so. I think I'm hoping that it goes its own route and doesn't just have some bloody animated character showing up every week.
I think you might get that for a while, Michael. I don't know
Well,
if
there
you're
was
going to be
Cara
lucky
June.
enough.
At least Cara June was an original character, and Carl Weathers' character, whatever his name is, he was original. And apparently the guy that Raylan Givens played was from a book, but he had like 2 paragraphs in a book at one stage. But I like them. I've enjoyed all of them.
They're good.
I'll even tolerate Boba Fett. and I'm calling you Bob.
You'll allow that, will you?
Like an Irish person. I'll allow that, but I don't want to see any more animated characters showing up and going, don't you know who I am? I'm bloody Savage Undress.
That'd be a pretty good name for a character, Michael.
Well, what I've done there, Ben, is combined the character names of the Savage Opress, who's Darth Maul's brother, and Ursula Andress. And then I've put a little bit of a James Bond spin on it, and then Savage Undress.
Well, what's interesting, Michael, is
like
that you've also
Ben!
kind of... Michael is currently taking off his clothes.
I'm in the nude!
That is just gold, Michael. Just gold.
Ben, I can't hear you. I've dropped everything because of my Savage
no,
Undress.
I can see that. In the middle of his Hulk out.
Ugh. I've knocked everything off the shelves, Ben.
Yeah, it wasn't the best. You alright?
It was.
You okay?
It was a Savage Undress, Ben. Do you get it?
Yeah, I was about to say that you've kind of mistakenly managed to come across the name of Ahsoka Tano's kind of nemesis, which is Ventress. But yeah, you're grand. Look, yours was better.
Yeah. And I was in the
Yours
nude
is better.
briefly. Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I did get a screenshot of that, Michael, but my internet quality is so poor that you're a pixelated mess.
Oh, that's good. That'll make it safe for work for people on the Reddit.
Yeah, I may put it up anyway, just for a bit of banter to see how that goes. The only other Star Wars news that we got, Michael, is...
Yes?
Kenobi has confirmed that Mr. Hayden Christensen will be reprising the role of Darth Vader.
Oh, that's good. He's a beloved actor in that role.
Yeah, people love him. He's just so adored.
People loved him in that role. I mean, time heals all wounds, Ben, I think is what this is teaching us.
I think, funnily enough, Anakin Skywalker has undergone something of a softening over the years, as you said, Michael, because people now are kind of like, well, when you think about it, it wasn't that bad a performance, even though it kind of was. You see, what happened was, Michael, and you're going to hate me for saying this, because the animated series, Clone Wars, made him into something of a genuinely badass Jedi and hero, and he had kind of earned his reputation as the chosen one of the Force within that little animated show. But as usual, Michael, we won't be getting the animated show version, we'll be getting bloody Hayden Christensen.
As long as they keep him out of the Mandalorian, I don't care what they do with him.
Okay, fair enough. You probably won't be watching Kenobi anyway.
I probably won't, Ben. I don't want to. Does it have? That's my Ben Kenobi voice. Does it have Ewan McGregor? I sense it's just master. I don't remember what he sounds like, Ben. I don't remember what Alex Gillis sounds like.
Yeah. So you've given me a bad feeling about this, Michael. Yeah, it is Ewan McGregor.
Oh, very good, very good. You've given. That's a Star Wars reference. I understand. It's several parsecs.
Yep, several parsecs. Michael, speaking of parsecs and nonsensical science fiction stuff, you punished me this week. I still don't know what I did wrong, Michael, but you said to me, Ben, have you ever seen the excellent TV show that defines all my tastes and really is the pinnacle of entertainment for me, that is Lexx? And I said...
That isn't what happened, and you know that...
That is exactly what you said, Michael.
Carry on with your
Possibly
bit.
the best show I've ever watched, Lexx, Ben. We should do an episode on the best show I've ever watched, Ben, because that is my taste, and you should judge me based on that choice of show. And I said, no, I haven't seen it, Michael, but you know what? It's our podcast, and if you want to do an episode on the best show that you've ever seen, Lexx, I'll do it with you.
Yeah. So, Benjamin, why don't you... Go on.
Go on.
No, you go on.
You do your little launch. Anyway, I'm just saying I've been punished, Michael. I would rather be in the scene from Casino Royale where Mads Mikkelsen pummels my testicles with a tied-up rope ball through a punched-out chair than ever watch Lexx ever again.
Very good. A tied-up rope ball, Ben, is commonly called a knot. But let's carry on anyway. Let's forget the fact that you've gone a bit mad, Benjamin. And why don't you put back on your partisan hat and tell us, Ben... what even is Lexx in all and anyways?
So, Michael, cast your mind back to 1997.
All right, it's back there. I'm 15.
CGI is in its infancy, and it's just become a thing that people like to do in shows. And for some reason, the Germans and the Canadians get together and they have a little chin wag and they say, wouldn't it be great if we did a little show together? And they're like, oh yeah, I'd really enjoy that, eh? So they put a little show
that wasn't
together.
a bad German or Canadian. I was impressed by that.
Yeah, I tried to restrain myself as best as possible. I'm sure it still offended somebody. Apologies to the Canadian listeners and apologies to the German listeners. But anyway, what will happen from there on out, Michael, is they come up with... they take a bunch of mushrooms or acid. I haven't decided which.
Yeah.
And they watch Ridley Scott's Aliens on a loop for about, I'd say, anywhere from 5 weeks to 2 years of their lives.
Right, go on.
And then from that... they get really, really drunk, and in their hangover state, they write out the script or plot to something they call Lexx with two X's.
Very interesting. Yeah.
So within that world, Michael, we're introduced to 3 characters. There's Kai.
Yeah,
the last of the Ben and
G.
Thank you. He's the last of the Brun and G.
Yeah.
He's an undead assassin who gets his hair done along the Jersey Shore.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Then there's Zev Bellinger,
Bellringer,
who is quite frankly, Michael, just the sex pot of the show.
Quite frankly and quite obviously.
Yeah, she exists to be tied up and captured as often as possible, at least in season 1. And her name is Zev Bellinger. That name would later go on to be taken by a porn star, Michael, which I don't know how the original... I don't know if the show sees any residues from that. I doubt they do. But anyway... Moving on from there.
Hold on. That name was taken by a porn star.
Yeah.
Zev Bellringer is the name of a porn star.
Bellinger, isn't it?
No, it's Bellringer.
Is it Bellringer? Oh,
yeah.
Maybe I'm mixing up with Zev Bellinger then. Never mind. You can Google that yourselves later on, ladies and gentlemen, and enjoy that particular one.
I'm Googling it now, Ben, so prepare for me to be shocked.
Off you go. This is going to be entertaining. So moving on from there, Michael, we have Tweedley Stanley. What's his name?
Oh my God, you're right.
I'm not lying, Michael. I'm not lying at all.
What the hell is this? It's just a porn star who's taken that name. That is not safe for work. I shouldn't have looked that up.
Did you not know this?
I did not know that. That's very interesting indeed altogether. How the heck did they get away with that?
Because nobody cares about Lexx. That's how they got away with it. I thought you'd know, Michael.
I did not know that, Ben. I'm going to get into pornography and call myself Captain Jean-Luc Picard. So that when people look up Captain Jean-Luc Picard porn, they find me in totally non-Star Trek related scenarios.
Now, I should be clear, Michael, how I found this out is that I typed in that name into Google porn. And I went, oh, well, this show is very HBO friendly. And then realized, oh no, this isn't the show.
You learn something new every day.
Despite much of the acting and sets of season 1 of Lexx being comparable to a porno. But anyway, then we're introduced to quite possibly the most irritating character this side of the universe, and that is Tweedley Stanley. What's his name?
Stanley Tweed. Ben, how much of this did you watch that you can't remember anybody's bloody name?
I never remember the names, Michael. You'll know that's a trope of this podcast where I mispronounce names and misremember them because I have to force feed myself content to get ready for a weekly podcast, and by the time I get the things down in my brain, it's too late for me to remember names or structure.
Is that what happened with Donald Glover Jr.?
Yeah, I watched Lethal Weapon in 8 weeks in a row, and then it just kind of crammed out. Anyway, Michael, then we're introduced to Stanley Tweedley. And Tweedle and X70. What's the robot's name? Something 77.
790.
790. That was close enough. So
Robot
that's
Head 790.
That's Mr. Price 790, and it's a good bargain. So we get those kind of characters, and what happens is, Michael, it's in a universe that's been majority taken over by a bunch of insectoids.
Has it though? I thought the humans won the Great Insect War.
I don't think they did in season 1, Michael. I think it's still kind of encroaching, and that's the whole...
Well, the whole point, Ben, of season 1 is that the Brun and G defeated the the Kai, the last of the Brunanji, but the Brunanji defeated the insects, and it's not really commonly known in the universe that his divine shadow is the ruler of the universe, Ben, is a representative of the insects. So the humans think they won the war, but they've been secretly enslaved by the insect civilization.
Yes, I forgot to mention the secret part.
Yeah.
But it is
delicious.
still majority taken over by insectoid things.
Yeah.
So yeah, his divine shadow kind of uses Kai as now a lapdog, and serves that. Kai is undead. He's a vampire. He's not really a vampire though, is he? He subsists on proto blood, which isn't the same.
Well, he doesn't drink proto blood though. He just needs proto blood. He's more of a Frankenstein. He's more of a Frankenstein than anything. But realistically, what he is, Ben, is he's the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, true.
He is the Winter Soldier. He was a good guy. He was a soldier, and he died winning the war. And then he was taken hostage, or his body was taken by the enemy, and used as an assassin for 2008 years.
Yeah, he gets he gets brain bamboozled.
He gets brain bamboozled, Ben, and he only gets woken up to complete missions. And bearing in mind, Ben, 1997, pre the Winter Soldier.
Which brings us to a lot of things, Michael, that might be pre other things. Lexx, possibly, Michael, has influenced quite a few things that people might not be very willing to kind of go, yeah.
Right, go on.
I'm thinking particularly, Michael, of the big sentient spaceship angle.
Right.
That is Lexx. Lexx is a ship. Lexx is the ship. And it's a big sentient kind of war machine.
Dragonfly.
Which is essentially a penis that travels through space backwards.
Yeah, it looks like a dragonfly. It's a dragonfly, not a penis.
Yeah, no, it's a cock and balls that travels through space, Michael, because for some reason, while I was researching this show, I found out that the primary inspiration for this, which really should have been my cue to stop engaging with this at all, was that Sigmund Freud's sex and death impulse theory is what drives a great deal of the aesthetic in this goddamn show.
Go on.
So Sigmund Freud, back in the day, largely debunked these days, ladies and gentlemen, so you don't have to go and buy the book and go through all that yourself. But he came up with a theory that the two primary drives in a human being, Michael, or in any animal, I suppose, was the urge to fuck and the urge not to die. He called them the sex drive and the death drive. And according to old Sigmund, that was really what was kind of captaining the helm a lot of the time for human beings. And one of the writers here was like, oh, that'd be good for an entire universe, wouldn't it? And that's why phallic imagery, Michael, abounds.
It's everywhere, Ben. Everything's knobs.
Everything is knobs. The gear stick to the ship is a knob. The ship is a knob. The shower's a knob. It's entirely possible that you could argue that bloody Tweedle is a knob.
Everything's a big, gross, hairy knob.
Yeah, like it's a whole thing, Michael. There's the grinding maw thing that we see every once in a while. There's the tentacle monster in season 2. A lot of.
There's lots of knobs, Ben. So anyway, I think you've jumped the gun a bit because let's go back to the inspirations.
Okay, go on. Sorry,
because,
back to that.
Back
the
to
authority,
right?
Quite possibly nicked quite a bit from that, Michael.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I see where you're going with that. That makes sense. But what I meant, Ben, was the inspiration for Lexx itself.
Oh, sorry. Yes, go on.
So the way we have ended up looking at this is because we've recently been reading for our other podcast, Collecting Issues, the bi-weekly comic book club,
which you can check out now.
We've been reading the Incal by Alexander Jodorowsky and Alejandro Jodorowsky and Stanley Tweedle. No, Mobius.
Very good.
Donald Glover Jr. We've been Donald Glover. We've been reading that, Ben, and that in turn was inspired by Dune in many ways.
It was.
And they're especially, like, forgetting about where it goes for the moment.
Sure.
And just looking at the first mini movie, Lexx, aka Tales from a Parallel Universe. And the movie title is His Divine Shadow.
Yes.
That movie, that first hour and 20-minute movie, is so Dune.
Yes, it is. Incredibly Dune.
So June. And it is not the psychosexual nightmare that the latter part of season 1 and the early parts of season 2 are.
Yes.
It's a horrible universe in which it may well be millions of years in the future, or it could be just a parallel universe where humanity doesn't come from Earth. Like,
Yeah.
But if it is in the future, it's so far in the future that humanity doesn't appear to have a home world. Humanity is just spread across thousands of planets.
Yeah, not immediately. Not immediately, anyway.
Yeah. So then you have lots of weird cults and functions, which are also very June-y.
Yes.
For example, Ben, I love the Brunnen G. I think
but
that opening scene of the 6 of them in their weird haircuts and their colourful costume, singing their, quite frankly, the best song in science fiction history.
The War Hymn.
Yes, that "Oh way oh home vare." Brilliant, Ben. One of the best pieces of music written in science fiction of all time. But the 6 of them in their stupid colourful costumes with their stupid haircuts and their stupid name, Ben, which I don't think is ever explained why they're called the Brunnen G.
Nope, it isn't.
But that kind of thing it just has June written all over it.
It does.
Because June is full of little subcultures of humanity with weird names and weird transitions. You're thinking of your Sardaukar, Ben.
Yes.
You're thinking of your Fremen.
Your Bene Gesserit.
Your Bene Gesserit, your Mentats.
Yeah.
And you're like, who the hell are these Brunnen G? Why do they have this cool song, the best song ever written in science fiction? And what's up with their silly clothes and their silly hair and their silly facial markings?
Yeah, what's going on?
And to be honest, you never really find out.
There's one episode, Michael, a little bit later. It's either season 2 or season 3. It's a musical.
I've seen it, Ben. I watched it from start to finish. It's called Brigadoon.
That's it, Brigadoon.
It's season 2. Season 2 after they change Zevs.
Yes, so I forgot to talk about that change. Yeah, we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, so we get a little hint, but it's never explained why they're called the goddamn Brunnen G.
Yeah, why are they called the goddamn Brunnen G, Ben? What's going on? So they're a sect of humanity, Ben, who discovered the secret of immortality. But no, sorry, the secret of not dying of old age.
Yeah,
but so they could die from anything else.
Yeah, they're immortal, not invulnerable.
Yeah, and they became horrible shut-ins until the young generation got sick of it and went out into the universe and became great romantic warrior poets.
Yeah, so it's a bit like COVID 2020.
A little bit, a little bit.
In that sense, without blaming young people for COVID, because I don't.
I love the Brunnen G, Ben. They are one of my favorite things in it. Their stupid costumes, their amazing song, their weird backstory. Love it. And I love that about June. I love your Sardaukars. I love your Fremens. I love your Bene Gesserits. I love weird cults of humanity in the far future.
That's your jam.
That's my jam. What does Brunnen G mean? Why are they called the Brunnen G?
Because they are.
Yeah.
Why are pirates called pirates?
Oh, hey, oh. It's brilliant. Anyway, I'll stop talking about that now. And then Kai becomes the Winter Soldier, Ben. He gets killed and becomes the Winter Soldier.
I find it hilarious that Kai is the thing that you're most enthused about because he's the only decent thing about the entire show. And even at that, I struggle to use the word decent in a fair function. Michael McManus seems to have made a real effort. And one of the more enjoyable things you can do is you can watch interviews with Michael McManus as he tries to justify his acting choices for Kai. And he has created a whole backstory for Kai in his head that he uses to inform his decisions. It is incredibly entertaining to watch. In his world, Kai has zero emotion, and what he is he's like a mirror that reflects whatever energy is put towards him. So if you're friendly to Kai will be like, oh, we're mates. And if you're unfriendly to Kai, he'll fuck you up.
He'll chop you in half with his kind of wrist bug.
His grappling gun.
His wrist bug that'll chop you in half with it. I think Michael McManus is an underrated fucking gem. You know he sings that song. That's him singing. He's a trained singer. He wrote the music in the Irish episode, Ben. He's absolutely brilliant. I love that he deadpans throughout the whole thing. He's like, I am dead. I could never love you. And everyone's like, but we love you, Kai. And he's like, that's fine, whatever. I am dead, though. I'm a dead man. I am the last of the Brunanji. Like, oh, fucking hell, Kai, change the record. He's
the
fuckboy.
original fuckboy. He's like,
I'm the last of the Brunanji. I'm so sexy. Look at me. I'm so sexy. I had to check with my good lady friend if he was sexy or not, because I think he's sexy. Apparently, he's not that sexy. Yeah, apparently he's not that sexy.
He is, Michael.
I have terrible taste in men, though. Apparently,
well, look at your co-host.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's wearing a still suit, Michael. By the way, that's essentially his costume. Yeah. He's wearing the David Lynch still suit. That is his costume. This 100%. Is hugely H.R. Geiger inspired as well.
Yeah, you see, that's what I was going to say when you were giving out about Siggy Freud, old Siggy S. And I know you have to give out about Siggy Freud, Ben, because you're always going on about Jung. And one of your main things about enjoying Jung is hating Freud. So yeah. So, I mean, Jung is just as disproven, don't forget. But look, we won't get into philosophy on this podcast, Ben.
Well, I spent around €300 to get this tattoo, Young at Heart, on my chest, and if I don't, stick to the principles, it's kind of pointless. Good, yeah. It's kind of pointless.
So anyway, what were we saying? In the pilot, Ben, there is some classic 90s body shaming. Did you notice that?
There's so much body shaming throughout this goddamn show, Michael. It's such a strangely sexual show, and it genuinely, at certain points, made me uncomfortable. I was sitting there going, oh,
I hope my mom doesn't see me.
I hope my mom doesn't see me
watching this. Mom, it's for research, it's for the podcast. Mick made me watch it, ma'am. I'll delete it from my hard drive, I promise.
That excuse has lost all its weight after the 850th time it was used. Oh no, ma'am, it's for the podcast.
Mick made me, ma'am, it's for the podcast. So, Ben,
go on.
One of the weird, the body shaming is weird. The fact that Zev Bellringer starts as a very heavily overweight actress who's, and they just completely humiliate her, and then she becomes sexy and everything's fine. Then I don't like that. I have to admit, I don't like that. It's very 90s and a bit gross.
Can I be perfectly honest with you, Michael? That trope has made a severe comeback in recent years in Netflix films and things like that. And it's fascinating to watch it try and resurface.
Go on.
One of those examples was Insatiable. I don't know if you've heard of Insatiable on Netflix.
About the people who can't stop eating.
No, it's a show where a girl was very, very fat. And she breaks her jaw, so her jaw has to be wired.
Right. Oh, it's a horror, is it?
No. It sounds like a horror, but it isn't. She then has to be fed, and when she comes back to her high school, she's skinny because she can only be on a liquid diet because her jaw's wired shut. Right. And she sets about being skinny and fabulous, and the school completely changes their tune to her, and she's a bit of a gal with her newfound sexiness.
Oh, that's not great.
And that was a thing. And then there was another one where the entire plot is it Everybody Hates Sarah Burgess or something like that? I can't remember. Anyway, again, the young lady is rather big boned, and she pretends to be somebody else to flirt with a man, and that's 90% of the movie until the end, where it's like, oh, but you could never love me because I'm fat, and it's a whole thing. But that trope has kind of clawed its way back, Michael. Yeah, it's no good. It's no good.
That was my least favorite thing about his Divine Shadow, was the body shaming of the larger actress who plays the initial Zev.
Yeah, they just hammer her too. It's like,
and then the new one going like, "Oh, I'm so perfect and beautiful, and a 20-year-old not very good German actress."
Yeah.
She's not great. But look, Ben, both ladies existed to be on the cover of the DVDs. Funnily
That's exactly
enough,
what it was there for. Yeah,
100%. And the writers admit as such in production things. It has a weird history, right? So the first season is 4 movies.
Yes.
4 hour and 20-minute-ish movies produced over the space of a year.
Yes.
Then it took a 2-year break and came back inspired by Buffy, of all things, to be a 20-episode, 45-minute series. Why? Focused on defeating a big bad for the year.
No good.
Then season 3, Ben, became this bizarre turn of events where they go to an afterlife consisting of 2 planets, and it's longer, it's hour-long episodes nearly, and it's really deadly serious in tone. It's really strange, season 3. And then season 4, Ben, becomes short again, and they go to Earth.
Yeah, that's it.
They're on Earth, Ben. And Ben, I'll tell you one thing, shooting on location on Earth is a lot cheaper than making sci-fi sets.
I tell you, it bloody well is, Michael. And when your budget is dwindling because you're fucking batshit crazy, you better believe Earth's going to come to the rescue.
It's some mad stuff, though, Ben.
But they destroy the Earth, Michael. That's the best part.
They do. They destroy the Earth in the final episode. The Earth gets blown up by 790, who's a prick.
Who turns out is a prick and has been the whole time.
He is a prick the whole time. I watched an episode from season 3, Ben, called Girl Town. And Girl Town is about a society on the planet Fire. It's very little of season 3 is set on Lexx. They're just on these 2 planets called Fire and Water. And Fire's kind of horrible and Water's nice enough. And they're kind of like heaven and they're kind of like heaven and hell. And all the characters they saw in the previous 3 seasons are back in various forms. But they look the same, but no one remembers. It's weird. It's fucking bizarre, Ben. But in the episode Girl Town, Zev falls out of a hot air balloon. And Stanley and Kai go down to try and rescue her. And Stanley ends up getting captured by the Queen of Girl Town, who's played by the same actress who played Jigurata in the pilot.
Gas.
And she wants to take his head off and attach his head to her body because she doesn't have a body. Oh, sorry, the other way around. Okay. She wants to attach her head to his body.
She wants.
And then Kai becomes embroiled in rescuing the men of the town, who are essentially slaves.
Classic.
While Stanley is embroiled in a 40-minute courtroom scene about politics and amendments. And Zev, genuinely, Ben, they had no idea what to do with her, so she wanders around aimlessly. Every now and then there's just a scene of Zev walking down a corridor. It's one of the most bizarre uses of a character in the show I've ever seen. She wanders around aimlessly, nothing happens to her, and she eventually finds them at the end. Weird.
A real milestone for female representation in science fiction.
Bizarre. But when Kai rescues the men, they all turn out to be transvestites. And they just wanted to dress up and have fun the whole time. So Kai offers to take them to the planet Water.
Where they might have a bit of banter.
And they start heading towards the planet Water on their hot air balloons. And then 790, the robot head, the prick, got Lexx to eat them all. So we've been following this story for an hour, and they get a happy ending, and then 790, the robot head prick, gets a fucking ship to eat them.
790's a prick throughout. Yeah,
he's horrible, but he's supposed to be
horrible.
horrible. He's supposed to be horrible.
But he's obsessed with Kai, isn't it? He kind of has a.
He's obsessed with Zev first.
Oh,
in
okay.
The first 2 seasons, and then with Kai.
Why did he become obsessed with Kai? What's
his programming gets changed? I can't remember.
Oh.
Funny thing though, Ben, right? For this podcast, I watched part of every season.
You brave soul.
I watched season 1, His Divine Shadow, and I really like that first movie. As I said, I like the Dune stuff. I like the horrible future of humanity. I think His Divine Shadow is one of the greatest names for a baddie of all time. I really like Kai's Winter Soldier thing he has going on. I could care less for Zev. She's a very attractive lady, but she's useless as a character. She makes no difference. Stanley is just a gross and horrible everyman. Stanley is John the Fool from the Incal.
Yeah, but not likable in any way. I think. Funnily
John
enough,
the Fool isn't likable. John the Fool spends the whole of the Incal talking about going home, having a whiskey, and getting some prostitutes.
That's very likable to me,
John
Michael.
the Fool. and John the Fool is like a rated R private detective, and Stanley's a rank 4 security guard. They're the same character. It's John the Fool. I don't know how much they ripped it off, but it's convergent or it's either the same. Anyway,
they're
I watched
parallel.
that one. I watched Brigadoon, Ben, from season 2.
Yeah, Brigadoon,
which is great. It's
great name.
The 3 characters go and they see a play, basically, and we as the audience watch the play with them. It's not a musical episode wherein, about Kai. It's not a musical episode like Buffy or The Flash where the characters are in the musical. They just go and watch a musical, and we watch the musical with them.
And that's all we get.
That's it. I watched Girl Town from episode 4 from season 3, and I watched Yo-A-O from season 4. And at random, Ben, I picked those 4 episodes. And I know for a fact, we had a great comment from one of our regular listeners and contributors, Dr. Stephen J. Cadwell. What did he say, Ben?
Oh, I'll get it for you now. You could have warned me about that, Michael. I've been sitting here just...
Well, he said, Ben, it's like if Farscape was produced by the writers of Eurotrash.
And that's
that
pretty much... I could not have hit the nail more on the head.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I watched those 4 episodes, Ben. There wasn't as much as a lascivious scene in the whole thing. Not a nude shot, not a upskirt shot of someone climbing up a ladder.
What?
In those entire 4 episodes, nothing happens that wouldn't happen on Farscape.
No, well, you're missing out, buddy. Yeah.
There's not a bikini scene. There's not a nudie shower scene. There's... okay, everything does look a bit like Knobs.
Yeah.
Everything looks like Knobs. Yeah. But there's not a hint of lascivious... So anyway, yeah. Long story short, Ben. I loved the first movie. And season 1 is really interesting and full of weird concepts. But it is gross. There is grossness to it. And it probably gets too weird for its own good as it goes along.
Yeah, I genuinely hated it. And it's rare for me to not mock hate. Mock hatred is a really key tenet of my podcast character. But I genuinely did not enjoy this. I would argue...
What order did you watch it in?
I watched season 1 in its totality.
No, you didn't.
And then...
There's no way you watched season 1 in its totality, Ben.
As close to totality as the human mind could take in one sitting.
Did
anyway.
You watched 9 hours of season 1?
No, not really. It was more like... It was pretty close to 6.5, though.
Okay.
And I jumped around, because eventually I got the kind of crux of it, and I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, and I'd say a solid, again, skipping at quite a pace. Do you know, Michael, you can set YouTube to run at 1.75 speed?
I do know that, Ben.
Yeah, it's great. It's really useful when you have a podcast to cram for. And yeah, so I got around, I'd say 15 episodes into season 2. And I'm never going to watch it again, Michael. This is the end of Lexx for me. I'm recording this episode. It's going to go live, and until you inevitably pitch Lexx retrospective in whatever form you'd like to do that in, I won't watch it again.
This is a Lexx retrospective, Ben.
Yeah, but you're going to do a Lexx retrospective because I know you, and you'll enjoy my suffering in that form, and we'll go and do that, Michael, and that'll be good. That'll be good. The one thing I really enjoyed, Michael, was Kai's attempt at philosophy, where he was like, was the bit where Kai was like, I was darkness in the light universe, perhaps in the light universe, perhaps in the dark universe I can be light, and then he goes into his little pod, and yeah, I don't know, I think it's very subpar. I think it's exceptionally 90s, as you said. Gratuitous doesn't even begin to cover what this show is. And yeah, just like it has that weird little cult following. Like I would argue that its Wiktionary, its wiki page is better updated than a lot of modern shows, which fascinated me.
I don't think it is, actually. I had a quick look at it, and it's definitely written by non-native English speakers, which is interesting. I think mostly updated by Germans, I'd guess, from the way it's written.
Well, it would fit the modus operandi of the whole show. Anyway, Michael,
go on.
What did the listeners think? We know what Stephen J. Cadwell thought because he gave us that little soundbite there that we could use. But what did you think of Lexx? What do you think of Lexx with a double X? Did you enjoy it? Would you like to see it? You can. It's all up on YouTube for free.
It's on Amazon Prime as well, Ben.
Oh, is it? I could have watched it on Amazon Prime. That would have saved a lot of poor quality stuff coming through my screen. Would you like to see a remastered edition? Who would you cast in a Lexx movie? Even though season 1 is kind of 4 different movies, but who would you cast in a Lexx movie? Kai would have to be Nicolas Cage for me.
No, it's Sebastian Stan.
Stan Tweedle would definitely be John C. Reilly, and then Zev Bellinger would have to be
Bell Ringer.
Zev Bellinger would have to be.
Bell Ringer.
I'd actually get the porn star.
People.
I'd actually get the porn star.
It would make very little difference, Ben. It would make very little difference.
I'd have to get the porn star to do it. That or who'd be good at that, Michael? Who'd be a good Zev Bellinger?
Well, I mean, she's every 90s, like the whole 90s to early 2000s is responsible for a lot of this nonsense. You had Zev, you had 7 of 9, you had T'Pol in Enterprise, you had, although T'Pol had a bit more agency, but every science fiction show in the 90s and early 2000s, you had Lexa Doig in Andromeda. Every show had to have a sexy lady.
Let's get Kate Beckinsale. Let's get Kate.
I don't know if that would be appropriate.
Yeah, let's get Kate.
You just want to hire a 20-year-old German with very little acting experience.
Well, yeah, all right, fair enough. Let's do that then.
All right.
Nick Cage, give us a ring. John C. Reilly, you're probably a little bit better off and probably don't need the work, but give us a ring anyway. And we'll set that up. We'll have a bloody Lexx movie.
Let's wrap this up, Ben. We're way over an hour here.
Yeah, we are, uncomfortably so. Ladies and gentlemen, what would you like us to review on the podcast? You can get in touch with us in the following places. You can find us on the interwebs at www.seomrabeag.com, SEOMRABEAG.com.
Means tiny room in Irish.
If you don't like that, you can find us on the Instagram at seomrabeag, and you can get in touch with us there as well. Kind of. Anywhere that you listen to podcasts, you'd be doing us a massive Christmas favour if you were to give us a review. Perhaps a nice review would be even better. And you can join us next week if you haven't had enough of us and you haven't given up after all of this. We'll be looking at cynical representations of Santa Claus, how we took a childhood hero and kind of made him all twisty for the 21st century because we're cold and dead inside as a society.
Like the film Bad Santa.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the end of it for us, ladies and gentlemen. We will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Jarum Brudden G, as they say, Ben.